What's up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. And that is exactly what we're talking about today, because we're talking with Lars Hedenborg, who has been a guest on the show before. He's one of my clients. We produce his podcast. And we're talking about time, money, and stress. I don't know about you, Greg, but I'd like to have more of the first two and a lot less of the third one. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what success really looks like and what it takes to actually build a real estate career and a business that gives you more freedom than it does restricts it. Because I know there's a lot of people out there, Greg, you've been one of them, running around like a chicken with their head cut off. I know in your case, you're sporting your Red X gear today. You look like they basically dressed you in the dressing room and sent you out into the world. But you have definitely been that agent running around, being stressed, not having enough time, enough money, and way too much stress. So first of all, what's up today? I know you're in the co-pilot seat. What's going on?
Yes. Dude, I feel like a NASCAR. You know, I got stickers all over me saying Red X,
yes.
You know, racing around the track. You know, they're feeding me water as we answer questions feverishly as we move forward. And, yes, it was actually fun.
I don't want to know what the tire change guy is doing with the switching out. I'm assuming, like, you know, new shoes, new cargo shorts. I don't know.
I actually bought some new shorts the other day, and they aren't cargo. My girl's very, very excited about this. I'm not so much. She is.
Yeah.
But dude, it's a lot of fun. I just did a live thing with Red X talking about kind of showing them everyone how to do live prospecting using their system. And in the 60 plus calls we did, I found a guy who definitely wants to sell in about a year or so, and I'm going to help him grow his business and do a video promotion with his limo company. And then I found a guy who has a lot. They'll sell it for $300,000 to $400,000, and I'm going to talk about it on my radio show. So it's very, very productive. It's a little out of the box on how to relate with people. So it's a good time. But I want to literally sit down at the feet of the Grand Master, Mr. Lars Hedenborg, and we're going to learn on how to be take more money, have less stress, and not be like Matt. This is great.
Please. Compared to you, Greg, I am an oasis of calm.
That's because you're caffeinated to the gills. You're just like, I can't feel anything. I'm just going to buzz.
All right. So we've got Lars here. We've got Gene here. This is our Friday episode. We're going to try to keep this semi on track and nice and short and content packed. So first of all, Lars, welcome.
Yeah, appreciate it. And this is just the one thing I'm most passionate about is this conversation. So it just seems anytime I talk to a real estate team leader, it takes quite a bit for them to let down their guard and really sort of let me into the reality of what most team leaders go through in terms of the hours they put into their business, the looking back over the last 3 to 5 years, have they increased their net worth, and are they bringing that stress home into their families, to their spouse, their children, their physical health, their spiritual health. And not a lot are doing it really gracefully. And, you know, I mentioned I had just had a conversation with a guy. I'm going to be talking to him again on Monday. You know, he does like 60 million. He's been forced back into production over and over and over again, and going through a divorce, 2 young children, and just openly said he put his business first over the last 5 years. And, you know, that's really where the passion comes from, because I think it's a lot of bullshit that is being talked about, you know, from the folks that are running these teams, and they're not set up on the right economic model, the right service model, and most team leaders have to do production because of those two things, you know, where they are the person that keeps things running, and if they were to step away, there's nothing left.
Why do most agents have that mindset? We talk to so many, you know, top producers or people on the way up that just will not let go of the day-to-day production. Is it an ego thing? Is it a control thing? What is that?
I think part of it is ultimately I see a lot of those guys and girls, they set up the financial model the wrong way, so they literally can't get out of production and still make the money they wanted to make. So I think that's a piece of it. I think most people get to the point where if you're doing 200 units as a team and you're doing 100 yourself, if it's set up on the right economic model, I can convince most team leaders in that scenario that there is a process to wind down out of production. You know, you can still service those clients, probably even better. And I do see a lot of stupid decisions being made for ego. You know, a lot of teams that are growing, transactions and they're not growing profit and they're complicating their business and they don't have any more money to take home as a result of this. A lot of single digit, mid-teen, profit margins on these teams where if you set it up the right way, your agents can make a ton of money, but they don't have to take home all the commission. So
it's a different way of looking at it. Most people just have to be the center of attention. That's their model. So if you were to talk to a team member, team leader, I might say, that was maybe going that direction but haven't quite committed to completely alienating their family and their friends and everything else in life, what would be the one thing you'd tell them? Say, hey, look, guy, gal, you're heading down a path you might not want to go down. Look at your life, take an evaluation of it, and what changes would you recommend them to make immediately before they fully committed to potential divorce, potential ostracizing their children,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm 45, and I've just been in this last 2 or 3 years. For me, it has been focused like, what regrets could I have in this area of my life? What regrets could I have in this area? What regrets? And I kind of go through the 6 big areas of my life, and whatever those focus areas are for you, real estate consumes anyone who's in real estate. That could be a 10 out of 10, and most other things suffer. So we honestly coach people to bring it back to a 6 so that we can get the other areas of their life in order so that we can grow the whole thing, this way instead of it being totally lopsided. So the advice is just to be honest with yourself. Like the way you're going now, look back 3 years ago. Did your 3-year plan 3 years ago have you end up where you are today? I didn't have a 3-year plan. It's like, okay, well, let's start there. Let's decide exactly where you want to be 3 years from now in all the areas of your life that you think that are important, and let's get to work on it. Real estate's just one area. And so I just don't think there's a lot of planning that goes on in these real estate teams. I would think there's some knee-jerk reactions to hiring people and commission splits that are offered, and and I don't think it gets them any farther. A lot of times I'll have them talk to folks that I know that have sort of been on the dark side and come over to the side where you really can work 30 hours a week in your real estate business. You can make $600,000-$700,000, be completely out of production in a $200,000 price point market with a team of not more than 10 people, where everyone is crushing it and their core values fit, where you actually want to go to work every day. And people just really don't believe that because they've surrounded themselves with a bunch of agents that are worth nothing. They don't want to work, and that lack of core values, fit, combined with overpaying them, so no accountability to what they're doing, and they have to get overpaid, and then they're just spending money on paid home search leads or mass media to scale their top line, and their bottom line goes down.
Well, yeah, and that's what I wanted to point out is when you talk about taking their real estate, like let's say their real estate business is kind of a 10 out of 10. I think that's part of the point where you have to challenge people on is they might come to you because they feel like their real estate business is a 10 out of 10 and everything else in their life is suffering as a result of their business going so well. With the problem is that's usually not the case. Their real estate business, it feels like it's a 10 out of 10 because maybe the top line revenue is there and they're getting accolades from other team members and their brokerage and stuff like that. Maybe they're winning some awards, but it's not actually a 10 out of 10. There's something rotten on the inside. Like you mentioned, they have agents they don't want to work with. They don't have the right listing agents, so they're bouncing back and forth between in and out of production. Like it's one of those things where you talk about being honest with yourself. You're not telling people to take a step back from having a super successful, well-founded, great foundational real estate team to get your life in order. You're taking people from not having a 10 out of 10 real estate business and just being honest with themselves about where it's really at and how much of that they're actually keeping. Because the problem is it's not actually as much as the outside world believes.
Yeah, I helped a guy that was at like 550 units making no money in his real estate team. He had other pillars. So he's making money in mortgage. He was making money in title. He had a property management company. He was just using, it was like a broker mentality almost. Like, right. I'll just use the brokerage to get these other, and I'm like, no way. We scaled it back, probably 75 to 100 deals this year. Took it back to 450. He'll make over 500 grand in that business this year. And so even that is like this ridiculous thought. Like, how could you take away my volume and me make more money? It's like I only need 300 transactions to net 7 figures in my market. In some other markets, it's different. I have not met a lot of real estate team leaders that net 7 figures. And I'm sitting next to everyone I possibly can, and I'm asking, if I don't know them well, I'm asking like these questions that are kind of like triangulating around me getting an idea. And I even mean like the biggest, like at KW events, like the top 10 team leader guys. I'm asking like these questions, like, okay, let me ask this question, see how much you'll tell me. And a lot of them are, loose collection of agents, overspending on mass media. They're still doing $50,000 a month of Zillow. I met a guy that went from 700 to 925 transactions, and he didn't make a single dollar more.
Did you say you said 700 to 900 and some? 900 and change?
700 to 925 from 2017 to 2018. He spends $100,000 a month on Zillow.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, dude, what are you going to do if they've already done it, but what are you going to do if his margins have gone from 18% to 14% to single digits this year? And I'm like, you got to change. We got to take this thing back to 400 transactions, give a high level of service, have repeat referral, get your marketing spend to under 10%, get your staff to under 10%, your overhead under 10%, and just keep the agents that are willing to work for a value-based commission split. Like, it's not, you don't have to sell 925 homes to make $600,000. So he's still making a lot of money, but his dollar per transaction closed is really, really low. It's better than a broker. I will say that for the units, but it's not what. And the reason I'm so caught on this, it's not only the time, money, freedom, divorce, and all that stuff. It's I really think in the future that if you don't have it together on your real estate team, like how every buyer is treated, how every seller is treated, you're measuring it 6, 7, 8 times during the transaction, and you're getting referrals before they leave the closing table. I think you're missing the whole game. I think it was like your I thought I listened to your UX deal. It was the mushy middle. Mm-hmm. The mushy middle, like if you're not going to that, not only as a coach, but obviously as a real estate team where we are the Nordstrom, we are the Mercedes, we are whatever your analogy is, the Ritz-Carlton for us. Like we're going to put you through this experience that you couldn't possibly imagine being any better. It's a bold promise. We call it the Ritz-Carlton of real estate. And when we do, you're going to refer somebody to us. Are you cool with that? And they're like, yep, high five, let's do it. And then we touch base 7 times during the transaction. We just say, hey, Greg, how are we doing on the promise? And it's like, either you're delivering on it or you're not delivering on it. I didn't make it up. It was, I heard it from Jay Abraham, his 93 referral systems. And then Mike Hicks, if you go on YouTube, Mike Hicks Promise, you'll see him role-playing it with a seller. But we just took that one little simple system and we've been drilling it into our business. And that is the future of our business, not what got us here. We don't have any paid home search leads now. Even radio has just been year over year declining in returns. We track pretty heavily. So I don't know what I'm talking about, but
I'll pick up where you left off. There was a great, I don't know if anybody in the listening audience or if you do, Lars, listens to Seth Godin's podcast, Akimbo. But I was listening to his latest episode this morning, and he made a really great point. I think real estate has definitely fallen into this trap too, which is like as marketers, we've fallen into the trap of believing because we grew up on mass media, television, so forth, that you can build kind of this big brand, and the only thing that separates you from building that big brand is just reaching a whole lot of people through mass advertising. And we didn't really have that in real estate. But then Zillow comes along, right? Changes the game. It was the equivalent of dropping television into the U.S. mass consumer public. That's what Zillow did for the real estate industry. Zillow and Boomtown and all the online lead gen. All of a sudden, we could reach the masses, and I think we got drunk on that for a while. It made a lot of people a lot of money, but it's getting less and less effective. Just like it's getting less effective to advertise on TV. Like commercials aren't as effective. Super Bowl commercials aren't effective. But I think there's a lot of people that will still go down that road, just like there's a lot of people that still buy Super Bowl commercials, even though you're paying to reach the lowest common denominator. You're literally paying to reach people that are wildly undifferentiated and average, and probably most of them are not a good fit for whatever you're selling. and you pay a premium to reach those people. That was his point, is why are we paying a premium to reach a whole bunch of people we don't want to work with and that we don't care if they know who we are, just to reach that tiny part that would actually buy from us? I think that's what a lot of real estate teams are doing, and they're paying a premium to do it.
And his book, his last book, This is Marketing. You can't be seen until you learn to see. And so, like, we're in a big market, Charlotte, where we have all the iBuyers here. Zillow, this was their second office that they opened, physical office.
Oh, wow.
They're buying homes, they're listing homes here. Redfin is really big here, 1% listing, all of that. We've shifted, like, my marketing 5 years ago was like, I'm number one. I'll buy your home. I'll buy your neighbor's home. Whatever I need to say to get you to call me, I will say it. And we don't do any of that anymore because, I mean, Mark Spain is in our market with like an ungodly, I don't know where he gets his money, but he's like got 1 trillion billboards in our market. He's spending, it has to be $100,000 a month on our radio station and TV. Wow. You know, he came in and bought our sports talk, like premier sponsor, and we're just like, all right. Goodness. We just told the radio station, I'm like, I've been with you guys for 8 years, but they've done some weird stuff with the radio station. So even that as a way to get business, I'm like, I could kind of leave that now. So it's turning. Have you guys read the book, Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand?
Story Brand. Love that book.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, so we've really shifted. Like anytime we're putting out something anywhere, a Facebook post or we still do radio. Just we've got the 2 best endorsements in the market. It's always about propping up the seller, making them the hero. It's not like, hey, I'm just the best person in the world. You should come list your home, or put my face on a billboard and say I'll give you an offer in the next 24 hours. I just don't think that's the future of business. I really don't. And once you realize that. It's not that hard to build a business if you're giving, like you stayed at a Ritz-Carlton once. If you can afford it, you're going to go back to a Ritz-Carlton, because the service is not unlike anything else that's out there. So I don't know. I wanted to mention one more thing that was really cool. Another thing, slippery slope I've gone down to in my real estate business is just like, how do we get a presence online through just organic search? This is sort of random, but when you do a great job for your clients, we have been pushing. I went to my dentist. This was recently, and my dentist started on radio the same year that I did, and I actually listed his home, and I got to know him. And this was like 8 years ago, but I sat down, I was checking out. The lady asked, hey, have you given us a 5-star review on Google? I'm like, I have not given you. She's like, well, take out your phone, pull up a browser, type this in. She said, hit 5 stars. Leave us some comments. I'm like, and I did the whole thing. And I'm like, do you get paid to do that? She's like, yep. They give me a little bonus every time I get someone to submit a review. I'm like, that's really cool. I'm like, why do you think the owners are having you do that? She said the owners told us flat out that radio is not pulling at all. Year over year declines in radio. And they get most of their business. If you come to Charlotte and you put in, dentist, they have like 1,000 reviews on Google Plus.
Your
so
dentist
if you pull up a browser and you put in Charlotte real estate agent, I hope we're there. We should be, most times we test it, we should be in the top 3 search results. High performance real estate advisors. If it's not there, just say that it is. It'll be better.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's here. It's definitely here.
Yeah. So,
but that is getting to be the point. And
yeah,
you're 100%
so
right
we
about
went
that.
from about 120 reviews on Google to about 330, 340. We're still at like 550 on Zillow, but we haven't let go of Zillow because we still hold a premier status with them. We still get business from that.
I actually tried.
My daughter is right here talking to me as we're live on the air.
Anything and everything happens live.
So that's something you could do, no cost. We went up 200 reviews, legitimate reviews from folks that we've worked with. Our goal is by the end of the year to have more Google reviews than we do Zillow reviews. And that's just another story brand. Like, let other people tell your story. We're also, it's our goal to have 5 new like case study interviews of our clients every month. Something where I had a horrible experience with another agent. This is what I was feeling. Then I met these guys, and they took me through this proven process, and I avoided disaster, and we were able to move, and everything's great. The Story Brand, that book by Donald Miller, gives you a 5-step outline to collect testimonials in a way when people consume them, they're naturally inclined to do business with you. So, and that's all new. That's all like the last 2 years or so that we're focusing, just totally getting away from what everyone else is doing. And this year, I mean, we'll pull some serious profit margin this year because we were able to let go of all the other junk.
Now, it's one of the things that we've been preaching from the start of this year, and it goes back to 100%, relational. And the online thing was a hot, sexy thing for a while. Get your Zillow leads, get your Trulia, get your Realtor.com. But then I think those entities got greedy, and their quality went through the floor, but the prices remained the same or went up. I had Zillow call me 2 years ago, and they're like, "Hey, do you want pre-qualified leads?" I'm like, "Okay." For 2 questions: how much do they cost, and how do you pre-qualify them? "Oh, they cost $350 a lead, and we give them 1 phone call." I'm like, "You called the wrong agent. Click." That is a ridiculous. I mean, they should be wearing masks. They don't even need to carry guns. They're robbing you with that price point. You take $350 and take a piece of valuable content about what the local market's doing, or take that $350 and go take 5 past clients out to lunch and create value and reaffirm that personal relationship. Your money will be a 10, 20 plus fold return. It might not be an immediate cash on cash return, but the impact on that other person's life, if you're able to connect them with another business entity that could help their lives, it will exponentially be beneficial back to you. But the thing that people don't look at is that it's not the instant fix. It's not like, oh, I get a house deal right now. But this isn't a short-term thing. This is a long-term business. I mean, as Matt and I joke around, if you want instant clients, go start a business, go get into the business that when you wear an apron. Because, those people have a want, need, or a desire to have a sandwich, a burger, or a bowl of soup right now.
I do want fries with that immediately.
Do you want crispy fries or just curly fries?
Well, it's important for them to be crispy on the outside and warm and soft on the inside. That's how French fries are properly cooked. Thank you, Greg.
The opposite of you?
Yeah, exactly. Friendly on the outside, ice cold on the inside, just like a hot pocket that's been nuked incorrectly in the microwave. That is me. And Lars, that's one of the points I want to make. I'm always, you would think there'd be a case to be made for buying a lot of leads and breaking even for now, and then saying to yourself, well, I'm building up my database. But I don't think that's what agents are doing. And that's what's interesting to me, is that they're forking the money down, but like you said, they're also not focusing on the service on the back end. So they're really not getting. They could be getting a lot of benefit, and you could choose to break even on online leads for a while if you were pairing that up with a strong commitment to get repeat and referral business.
I don't think a lot of them are that smart. I don't think they're doing. It's like crack cocaine. I think once you start it, I've never done crack cocaine, but once you get hooked on it, you probably would keep doing it.
That's right. Well, that's why we have Gene on the show. He's our executive drug consultant on how good that feels.
Jesus.
Well, you're being too quiet, so I figured I'd bring you into the show in the most insulting way possible.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Now listen, what you were making fun of me for my lunch. I think what's something in that made me feel a little off. I'm not feeling great, but and I'm learning. I find it interesting what Lars was talking about before was, improving your quality of life by just not working as hard. That 900 transaction thing. Think about all the extra work that went into those 225 transactions to make the same amount of money is like mind blowing, right?
That'd be crushing.
And you're right. So like I don't want to say some of these agents aren't as smart, but I also be willing to bet you guys probably have some pretty good tracking and analytics in place where now that radio is maybe not performing as well as it used to, and so now we got to pivot to the reviews. My guess is that probably 70% of the people that are spending the money have no idea where that stuff is coming from and whether it's working or not.
Yeah, I mean, we track, we listen to every phone call, every appointment set. We listen to the phone call to make sure that the person that fielded it or initiated it asked at least 3 different questions around how they heard of us. So we're about 95, as certain as you could possibly be, and we do that through VAs. So it's not a high expense person, to make sure we're as certain as we can be that we know the lead source. And so when we scale back radio, or if we stop Zillow or Even we tested Facebook last year. We got a 7 times return on Facebook buyer leads, but then we just decided let's do a whole year without paying for a single home search lead. And our business, I mean, we're heavy listings, so we're about 65-70% listings. I was going to say one thing on just going back to like Gary Vaynerchuk. If you guys read the book Thank You Economy, it's like just relational, like the 1950s. Like how did you do business with your local hardware store? Exactly. You went in, if you needed like a locksmith, he said, hey, you got to talk to Jimmy. He's the locksmith guy. And I coached a couple. They got to 192 transactions between a husband and a wife and one licensed assistant with mainly one strategy. It was every day the wife would go on both of their Facebooks and take anyone that had a birthday, take that lead from Facebook into their database through basically a scripted conversation about happy birthday, we send out this market snapshot deal and, could we add you to it? Hey, what is your physical address? And I lost your cell phone number. They would do the best to get those 3 data points and get it into a database. And they did 192 transactions in their like 4th year together. They were all in the business. They had no freedom. And so I helped them sort of structure it, and they did 447 transactions last year.
Cool.
But the database, like nobody really I don't know if you guys have ever taken like KW Bold. I'm not a KW guy. I've only been there since January 2017. But the first day they say, open up your contacts. And for 20 minutes, we're going to call people in your phone already and tell them you're doing a contest and you need a referral of someone looking to buy or sell. I got 3 referrals, and I have sold thousands of homes, but I've never done that, So the first person I called was my wife, second person was my sister, and then my mom, and they all had referrals for me. I'm like, are you kidding me? My mom's best friend in Arizona was selling her home, and I hooked her up with a referral agent. Like, I'm like, guys, like I still do real estate. You can still refer.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
so true though.
There is the referrals and the reviews I think are absolutely paramount. One of our good friends of the show, Nick Sakis, he and I were talking the other day. He has a new video review system called Video Chirp. And it's super, super cool. I tried it out, and you go on, you can send the links to people, and to your clients, and they literally just kind of hit a button, they pop on the screen, and they record it, and they do it for 50 to 90 seconds max. It goes up to the cloud, auto cleans it up, puts some music behind it that you pre-selected, and then 10 minutes later, it's ready to be published on your site, social media, and the whole shebang. But Nick's actually given away your free first video referral or testimonial. So take a look at that. I took a look at it. It was super awesome. And I think that, and Lars, I want to get your opinion. Gene, I'd want to get your opinion as well. Video referral or testimonial versus written video or written testimonial. Do you guys see pros and cons on either one? Kind of what are your thoughts on this, Gene?
Oh, that's easy. Video all day, every day. And there's 2 reasons. 1, it's better for organic reach, and 2, you can turn it into text. So I would take that 60-second testimonial, have it transcribed by Trench or Trent.com for 45 cents, and turn it into a blog post.
It's better than Rev. Rev is $1.
No, same thing.
Yeah, Rev is higher quality. Trench is faster and automated.
Yep. And I would only add one thing to that. Make sure the video testimonial is well done. Not like high production standard, but the right questions,
Yeah, that's the tough part.
We've done that at like events. We'll get 20 video testimonials, and they're all complete crap. Because we didn't lead them at all. We're just like turn the camera on and like, really good.
You're like, that didn't help, man.
Value.
That's right.
So.
Like Greg, I loved Greg. His shirt was really red. I really loved the color of Greg's shirt. That's what really stood out to me.
The offset of the gray was
exactly
beautiful. It was
yeah,
amazing.
The one thing he really hit is that he did have only one word on both things. I knew what he was talking about. Red X.
That's right.
Hey, what's that chirp? I can't find chirp. I look up chirp video reviews, and it comes up with a bunch of videos about birds chirping.
So it's Video Chirp. Let's see here. Yeah, go and what I'll do, Lars, is I'll connect you with Nick Sakis,
That'd be cool.
and then I'll
Yeah,
get you
'cause
guys rock and roll.
it's all the
Yeah, I think it's
super
all.
crime fighters.
Yeah, it's in beta, so I don't know that he wants it to be found on Google at this point by randos. I think he wants it to keep it
Yeah,
keep it to a small
he
group
says
of
it's
people.
not live yet.
Sorry.
He says it's not live yet.
I was gonna say, Greg is
Okay.
talking as usual. Greg is enthusiastic and talking out of turn because he's promoting things that aren't promotable yet. Yeah. Anyway, all right, Lars, let's finish up, and I'm sure we'll have probably one last question for you. But in the meantime, what's the best way for agents if they listen to the conversation and they know, okay, that's me. Like, I am not enjoying my real estate business. I tell people it's a 10 out of 10. It's more like a 2 out of 10. I want to get it to where it fits into my life. What's the best way to reach out and connect?
I'll say it's like the top of the top producing agents and, teams that are early on in their journey and medium and big size teams. I think they all could sort of be a part of the community. And it if like you said, your time, money, stress equation is completely out of whack and you're suffering in other areas of your life. Just go to realestatebschool.com. You produce an awesome podcast for us, so sign up for the podcast. There's only one thing I can offer anybody. It's a conversation with me personally. So it's a 45-minute conversation where we will dig deep into your business. What's working, what's not working. What'd you plan 3 years ago? Did it come true? What do you want 3 years to look like? And then if there's a fit, I'll tell you there's a fit, and I'll fight to get you into Real Estate B School. If there's not, I will point you in another direction.
Very cool. And then, Greg, same question for you. Somebody knows that they want to potentially look at making a change.
Yeah, guys, go to
redx.com.
Yeah, right. In the NASCAR of podcasters today. Go to bookmcdaniel.com, guys. Again, it's bookmcdaniel.com. You go there, book a 30-minute call. Let's talk about EXP. Let's talk about what the value and leverage we're going to be able to bring to you, help you guys make more money, spend more time with your family, and get passive income coming into you just by talking with the people you're already talking to at conferences or agents around your local marketplace, and also get a ton of the value that Matt and I have already built and produced and put in the can for training programs. So bookmcdaniel.com. Go there and book a time with me today. If it's only 30 minutes, if you don't like it, then Gene will come over and he'll plant flowers for you. It's really it's an even trade. Matt, you have the weekend off.
I just signed up for a call.
Basically, just to call and yell at Greg. Like I do. All right, Gene, what's the best way to reach you?
GeneVolpe.com. You can find me on Instagram at the Gene Volpe, or just Google. Sort of like Lars is when you Google my name, it comes up pretty quick.
Right, and we got a little taste of the genius that is Gene when you talk about taking a video testimonial, splitting it up, getting it transcribed, throwing it up as a blog post. So if anybody wants to do those types of things where you maximize your exposure online, take one piece of content, turn it into a bunch of other forms that makes it easy for you to be found. That is the great and the best reason to reach out to Gene. So let's finish up with this. Lars, so going back to your team, you run it relatively lean and mean compared to some other teams that have a lot of agents out wandering around. Tell me a little bit real quick just about the one system or maybe the one person on the team that gives you the most freedom.
It's definitely our director of operations.
Why is that?
Because I had a coach tell me early on, like your operations team on a real estate team is way more important than your sales team. And I think that's a harsh statement because most people think it's the exact opposite. If you build the thing the right way and you can provide a demonstrable value to your agents, then you don't have to overpay them. You can get a service. They can do what they're good at, and your paid staff can do what they're good at. There's so much leverage in that, the backstage, the operations part of the business. And also just into the future. Redfin, right? We all sort of diss Redfin, the 1% listing, and their average agent sells 38 homes.
Whoa.
So they're like the best funded, most powerful real estate team in the country right now. And if we're not learning from that, not that we're going to try to marginalize real estate agents, but their agents make 80 to 120 grand selling 38 homes a year. So. And all of that's technology and operations, that entire business.
Yeah, 100%. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree. It's the same for me. And Greg, it's been the same for you. Your steel trap director of operations on your team. For my marketing agency. It's my director of operations that gives me my freedom to run the agency in kind of the same time frame. I think, Lars, for you, that it takes you to run the real estate team, which is less than, I would say, 6 to 8 hours a week. For me, it's spread out over 2 mornings. Without my director of operations, you just be in the business. But you also have, I mean, do you have a specialist listing agent, or do you allow your agents to all list? And how do you deal with that? Just to make sure you don't get sucked back into production on the sales side.
Yeah, I mean, we have our lead agents can work with buyers if it's their sphere or if it's a seller that's buying. Nobody on our team shows homes except our showing agents. So even our buyer agents don't show homes.
Okay.
And buyer agents are, their first year they can't list their sphere. After a year they can list their sphere. So it's like 80-20 buyers to sellers as a buyer's agent, and then it's 80-20 listings to buyers as a lead agent on our team.
And how many lead agents?
We have 3.
3. Okay, gotcha. So that's how you spread the risk around. So you don't have one. You're not running like the KW model where you have one listing agent essentially, and you're like beholden to them. That makes sense. Okay, cool. All right, that's what I wanted to know. So director of operations, and then spreading out your listings among multiple lead agents who are in charge of taking the listings. That's how you insulate yourself from going back into either one of those and having to dive back into either operations or production. That makes a lot of sense. All right.
Constantly be recruiting. Like as a team leader, constantly figure out your recruiting platform and the marketing around it and the onboarding process, the interview process, and all of that. That's the most valuable system you'll have in your team.
Yep. I'm in full on recruiting mode right now. I've got two staff that I want to add in. I'm always on the lookout for a great integrator type role who can really roll their sleeves up and get into both sides of my business. And then we're bringing on more VAs to help out with operations, allows us to move over some people and get involved in the marketing a little bit. So yeah, I mean, it just freaking never ends. The going through applications and scheduling interviews, it just never ends. But that's the fun part. So with that being said, Greg, shall we tie? We have to tie a bright red bow on this episode. We can't. I mean, it's just I have to keep ribbing you for what you're wearing.
I was doing it to support someone.
I know. Let's wrap it up.
All right, you little heart coal. Lars, thank you, man. You're a legend. Appreciate your information. It is some seriously good information. You dropped 2 seriously big nuggets of knowledge. If you guys didn't hear his nuggets of knowledge, go back and re-listen to this podcast. And it has to do with his sphere of influence and who referred him, and it will make your jaw drop. Gene, you're a legend. I hope your stomach does not do hula hoops around your ankles all weekend. I wish you the fast, speedy recovery and lots of Pepto-Bismol. But to all of you guys listening, we love you, and we can't do this without you. Share this, give us a comment, shout out Lars if you liked what he had to deliver here, and you better have if don't listen to our podcast anymore. But all joking aside, love you. Matt loves you. Till next time, peace out, ninjas. We're gone.